Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking Madsen Puri's absolutely brilliant 2007 book, How to Win Every Argument, and we're going to transform it into your personal mental martial arts survival guide. We're taking a real deep dive into the mechanics of logic, rhetoric, and persuasion. But, we aren't just going to look at how to win. More importantly, we're going to figure out how to protect your mind from being manipulated by really bad reasoning. So let's kick things off with a universally frustrating question. Have you ever lost an argument to someone who was just completely, utterly wrong simply because they sounded confident? Yeah, you know exactly the feeling I'm talking about. You have all the facts, your logic is totally sound, but the other person uses clever language, distracts the audience, or just speaks with such absolute certainty that everyone just nods along with them. And you walk away thinking, wait, what just happened? And that right there, that brilliantly illustrates our core problem. A persuasive argument is not necessarily a logically correct one. People constantly use deceptive rhetorical tricks to sound smart and convincing, literally bypassing actual evidence. Logic asks, hey, does the evidence actually support the conclusion? Persuasion, on the other hand, is just about sounding right, even if there's zero proof backing it up. Puri's book is an absolute masterclass in separating those two things. Okay, so here's our roadmap to get you equipped with a shield and sword against bad logic. We'll start with the illusion of persuasion, open up the fallacy toolkit, learn about defending your mind, building better arguments, and finally, why truth over victory is the ultimate goal. All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the illusion of persuasion, separating fact from rhetoric. So the crucial point we have to establish is that a real argument isn't just stating an opinion loudly. It's an actual structure. It requires a claim, what someone wants you to believe. It requires reasons why they think it's true. And absolutely most importantly, it requires evidence. Like if you claim everyone should exercise daily, your reason might be that it improves fitness. But your evidence? That would be peer-reviewed health research proving those benefits. If someone is just throwing claims around without reasons and evidence, they aren't actually arguing. They're really just making noise. Moving right along to Section 2, the fallacy toolkit. Or, as I like to call them, the monsters in the arena of bad logic. First up in the toolkit is a classic, the ad hominem attack. This happens when someone realizes they're losing. They can't beat your logic, so they panic and attack your character instead. It's total misdirection. Since they can't attack the message, they try to completely discredit the messenger. Check out this perfect example. Notice how they totally changed the game here. Someone's terrible driving skills have absolutely nothing to do with whether a public transit proposal is valid. Whether or not you can parallel park doesn't change the hard data on city bus routes. But in the middle of a debate, this kind of personal jab can make the audience laugh and distract from the glaring fact that the attacker has no real counter-argument. Next up is the straw man. Man, this is a wildly popular rhetorical trick. This is where a debater takes your completely reasonable point, totally ignores it, and instead creates a distorted, completely absurd version of it to attack. They build a fragile man out of straw just so they can easily knock it down and look victorious. Let's say you thoughtfully suggest, hey, we should reduce unnecessary spending to balance the budget. And they fire back with, oh, so you want to eliminate all spending? See what they did? They built a fake argument. It's way easier for them to argue against cutting all spending than it is to actually engage with your nuanced, real proposal. It's deeply dishonest, but honestly, it's highly effective if you don't call it out right away. Then we've got the slippery slope, which completely ignores evidence by preying on our irrational fear of extreme future consequences. This fallacy argues that if we take just one tiny step, we are inevitably going to slide all the way down into complete disaster with literally no way to stop. We see this panic in the business world all the time. People will say, if we allow employees to work from home one day a week, eventually nobody will ever come to the office again. But think about it. One remote workday simply does not logically guarantee an empty office forever. A slippery slope argument assumes this massive chain reaction that usually has absolutely no basis in reality. Finally, keep your eyes peeled for the red herring. This is a tactic designed entirely to distract you when someone is backed into a logical corner. The name actually comes from the old idea of dragging a smelly fish across a trail to distract hunting dogs. In a conversation, it means dragging an irrelevant, highly emotional issue into the mix just to make everyone forget what they were originally talking about. Consider this classic evasion. You ask, why was the project delayed? And they answer, well, our competitors are doing much worse than us. Wait, what? A competitor's performance is completely irrelevant to an internal project delay. but it distracts the audience brilliantly. Suddenly, everyone's gossiping about the competition instead of focusing on the missed deadlines. If you aren't paying close attention, they get away with completely dodging the question. Okay, so now that we've exposed these manipulative tricks, let's head to Section 3, Defending Your Mind. This is your mental martial arts shield. When someone throws a really bold claim at you, I want you to use these exact 6 questions as your shield. First, identify exactly what the claim is. Then, just ask for the evidence. Next, ask yourself, is that evidence actually reliable? And even if it is, does it really prove their conclusion? Are there alternative explanations they're completely ignoring? And finally, are they making a personal attack instead of addressing the issue? By running every single argument through this checklist, you force them to prove their logic, which strips away all that emotional manipulation. All right, we've thoroughly covered defense, so let's flip to Section 4, Building Better Arguments. Time to construct some bulletproof logic. Because look, just pointing out bad arguments isn't enough. You can't just try to win by declaring your idea as the best. You need to systematically build your case. Let's use a health clinic as an example. Step 1, make a crystal clear claim. The clinic needs an appointment system. Step 2, provide the hard evidence. Patient wait times have demonstrably increased. Step 3, offer the reasoning. Appointments distribute patient visits evenly. And Step 4, state the logical conclusion. Therefore, introducing appointments will cause wait times to drop. Now that is bulletproof logic. It's vastly superior to just walking in and saying appointments are better because I said so. Which brings us to our final stop, Section 5, Truth over Victory. Let's talk about applying these skills in real life. Because understanding fallacies in theory is great, but real life is where it counts. Whether your doctor is suggesting a new treatment or a coworker is aggressively pitching an investment, your first reflex should always be to ask for the underlying data. Don't just accept a confident tone of voice. In healthcare, ask, what evidence supports this treatment? In business, demand, what data supports this investment? And in everyday conversations, try asking, what evidence would actually change your mind? If they say nothing, well, you know for sure you aren't in a logical argument, you're just in a shouting match. It really all boils down to these 3 core critical thinking lessons. Number 1, you absolutely must rigorously separate facts from opinions. Number 2, always attack the merit of the arguments, never the person making them. And number 3, and honestly, this might be the hardest one, you have to be willing to change your own mind when the evidence changes. Doing this doesn't just win debates, it elevates the entire conversation and protects you from being manipulated. Because if there is one profound takeaway from Puri's work, it's this: winning an argument and discovering the truth are not the same thing. Seriously, anyone can learn to speak confidently, twist words around, and appeal to our emotions to score a cheap rhetorical victory. But authentic, critical thinking, that is infinitely more important. The goal shouldn't be to crush your opponent. The goal is to arrive at the most reasonable conclusion based on actual facts. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a challenge for your very next disagreement. Whether you're in the boardroom, the classroom, or sitting around the dinner table, when the tension rises, ask yourself, are you just trying to win, or are you actually trying to find the truth together? Choose the truth and use your brand new toolkit to guide the way. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep thinking critically.